Welcome back, adventurer. This week's creatures have been described as a suspicious puddle, an iceman with just the best in-jokes, and a gnome you really don't want to go hunting with. So come, pull up a stool at Creature Tavern. Adventurer, come, sit down, grab a drink, and listen well. The first creature we'll be diving into today is the Hinqumemen, from the folklore of the Coeur Native American people of British Columbia. And maybe we shouldn't dive into this one exactly, but we'll get into that later. The Hinqumemen, also known as Living Lake, Sanchitsu Shudsen, or the Engulfer, is said to be a lake monster, but unlike your typical Nessies, Kelpie, or other water beasts, the Hinqumemen is the actual lake. This creature is described as being composed entirely of water, capable of lifting itself from one location and moving to another, thereby posing as any lake it likes. I've also read many reports that say Hinquememens come in all sizes, so not only will you need to watch which lake you fish in, but be sure to check the puddles before you step in them too. If hunting down living water is something that interests you, then you're likely going to be hunting for a lifetime, as the Hinqumemen lives in literally any body of water. They'll also take up any large crater. So I guess if you're venturing back home, somewhere you're quite familiar with, and you spot a new lake, then you might have a Hinqumemen on your hands. But it's never that easy, adventurer. It's not just lakes. That's just the most common shape you'll find larger Hinquememens take. Speaking to many folks who stop by for a drink, I've had people tell me they saw a Hinqumemen as a pond, a river, sometimes a wetlands. And you see that fella over there? Right there at the back? He swears he encountered a puddle. Now, when looking into the Hinqumemen, I found that it exhibits some rather unique behaviours that'll make it quite the formidable entity, should you find yourself face to water with one. Its primary method of predation involves, and I'm sure this won't come as a surprise, disguising itself as a tranquil lake, where it will lay still, awaiting unsuspecting individuals who come to draw water. What's regrettably unfortunate about this particular habit is that since there's no way to tell if the lake you're drawing water from is a Hinqumemen or a regular non-murderous lake, the people that get on this creature's bad side are usually just ordinary folk, looking to drink a bit of water or clean themselves. Usually there's no harmful intentions. So let's say you're one of these unlucky mortals. You've nicked a bucket of water, now what? Well, the Hinqumemen, it's going to start to pursue you, and real quiet, utilising its fluid form to traverse various terrains. You'll have no idea that you're being stalked, although you may notice the ground behind you is a bit wetter than it was a second ago. And maybe a new pond's appeared. This will continue till you're sat back at home, and as you're about to fill your tub, the Hinqumemen engulfs you, probably destroying your house as well, and providing any other residents with a surprise cold shower. Now the Hinqumemen has its missing parts back, and you've had a bit of a wet slap on your face for stealing. Doesn't sound so bad, right? Well, not exactly. From what I've been told, that's not how this ends. It turns out, this living puddle buddy, it ain't just fresh, it's vengeful. The Hinqumemen will wrap around you, making sure to keep your head above its surface as it starts dragging you back to its aquatic domain, to drown you later on, and of course eat your flesh, organs, blood, pretty much everything except your bones. At this point, adventurer, I bet you're thinking you'll just swim out of the creature. Can't be that hard, it's only water after all. Well, one of the creature's most distinctive abilities is its capacity to manipulate its watery body into various forms. It can shape itself into tentacles, humanoid figures, or any other structure it fancies, usually used to ensnare and overpower its prey. This adaptability makes the Hinqumemen the perfect watery prison. Some stories I've come across suggest the Hinqumemen is composed of countless microscopic entities, working in unison to control the fluid it calls its body, and this is how it can survive having buckets of it stolen, and how it's able to form such complicated structures. I even had one lady regale me with a tale from her village. She said that if someone consumes water from the Hinqumemen, the creature can exert control from within, attacking the individual internally. Say she saw it happen with her own eyes. Personally, I couldn't find anything to help back up this claim, adventurer. I still wouldn't risk drinking the water though. I'll be honest, adventurer, if you ever did find yourself up against a Hinqumemen, there's not a lot you'll be able to do, especially if you've already taken a drink. But there might be just a couple of ways for you to identify if you're dealing with a regular lake or not, so listen close. Hinquememens love all things squishy, but they hate bones, can't stand them, or maybe they just can't digest them. Either way, these bones tend to pile up over time, so before taking a drink, give the waters a thorough inspection. See even one bone, I'd move along. And as I mentioned, the Hinqumemen, they love to move, finding new cavities to fill, and avoid those large piles of bones I just mentioned. So before taking your bucket, check that the lake you're looking at is on your map. If you haven't got a map, maybe chat with the locals. If they're surprised about your discovery, once again, I'd move along. Now this should be a pretty obvious one. I managed to find some accounts that say Hinquememens that have consumed a large number of humans can in some cases turn red, typically as a result of the plentiful offering of blood. And you really shouldn't be drinking from a blood red lake anyways, but hey, no judgment from me, just know it might be a Hinqumemen. So if you follow what I told you, but you still end up being that unfortunate soul to take from a Hinqumemen, then that means it's going to follow you. Even if you set that bucket down, it won't forgive your transgressions. The Hinqumemen are petty, it seems, but they're also very, very slow. Honestly, a casual walk will give you more than enough distance to remain safe. The issue arises when you want to rest. For that, you'll need to adopt a life on the road, always moving, always ahead, and always looking back to see if that puddle's giving you a mean look. But hey, at least you're not lake food. All this talk of water's got me mighty thirsty, adventurer. Care to join me for a flagon? Hey everyone, this is your dashing Tavernkeeper. Thanks for listening to episode 4 of Creature Tavern. I hope you're continuing to enjoy these episodes. Thankfully no ones that they aren't just yet. As you're all aware by now, if you post about the show using the hashtag Creature Tavern on X or Blue Sky, there's a chance you'll be immortalised as a character on the show. You could end up as a mysterious young fisher whose line pulled in an even more mysterious catch. Or you could be the humble tavern cat, for absolutely no reason. I just reckon that's someone's thing. Whatever you end up as, you'll go down in my heart as a treasured regular. And why not mention the show to a friend or a foe? Help spread the great word of Creature Tavern, or subject a mortal enemy to the scratch as I call me voice. Either way, I appreciate it. That's it for this break, folks. As always, thank you for listening. Now let's get back to the tavern. I can't believe you went for water. After all that, I'm sticking to ale. Anyways, back to our creatures. Now if you're planning a journey up north, then sit down and let me tell you about this icy demon before you go freezing your bones in the Arctic. I'm of course talking about the Mahaha from Inuit folklore, and you'd be wise to listen close. This creature is no mere tale to frighten the little ones. It's real, and it's out there, laughing in the cold. Some call it the cold demon, ice demon, a malevolent spirit. And my favourite, the tickler, and we'll get into why later. Let me first paint you a picture of what this icy nightmare looks like. Envision a cadaverous figure, tall and frail, its limbs stretched long and sinewy, with muscles like winding violin strings under its icy pale blue flesh. Gods, that flesh! People who've had the misfortune of running into the Mahaha say it looks as if it's been dead for centuries. Its skin's clinging to bones that jut out, and it's cold to the touch, colder than the Arctic itself, as if the chill radiates from within. However, you're far more likely to spot the eyes, long before any touch. Pupilless, piercing white, with a shine bright enough to cut through any snowstorm. Folks say they reflect an unsettling glee. These ghostly lanterns remain unblinking, unwavering, locked on their prey with cruel patience. It's said, when the Mahaha fixes its gaze on you, there's no escape. It sees you, and it smiles. And once a Mahaha gets close enough, you'll notice more of its disturbing features, like its hair, stringy and black, hanging dishevelled over its face, barely concealing that frozen, maniacal expression. Then you'll see the ragged furs that barely cling to its wiry frame, tattered remnants of clothing long since ruined by frost and decay, shifting in the winds to reveal glimpses of ribs, pressed against that tight, pale skin. For some unknown reason, the Mahaha chooses not to cover its feet. So adventurer, if you're out in the snow and you stumble upon bare footprints in the impossible cold, move fast, or the next thing you'll see is a pale blue smile. How are you feeling, adventurer? Do you fancy building a snowman with your new mate? Of course you do. Well, first you'll need to know where to find him, and for that you want to head north. Way, way, way north. All the way to the North American Arctic. There you'll find the Mahaha drifting across a merciless expanse, where the land is perpetually frozen under the midnight sun. And lucky for you, I've had a few patrons from up north, so I've got a little extra info for you. Only the best at Creature Tavern. They said the Mahaha has no lair, no den, no nest, no single point of home. It just wanders endlessly and seemingly without purpose. Not even the frozen gales guide its path. So once you're done building your snowman, you may want to know what the Mahaha is capable of. Well, let me tell you. If you hear an insatiable, uncontrollable, maniacal laughter, the Mahaha is close. And it must be one hell of an in-joke, as you'll never be the one laughing. At least, not right away. Next is the cold. I know, you're in the Arctic. You're already going to be pretty cold. But it's said that the Mahaha possesses an aura colder than you can possibly imagine. Think of it like when you're at the baths. The water's warm, aye, but it always gets a little warmer when that one friend floats over. If you ever feel this icy ghost wind, then you might be okay. Well, not okay, exactly, but you might survive, unless you feel a tap. Just a little tap. Could be on your shoulder, back, or right between the eyes. Where, honestly, doesn't matter. Once the Mahaha has made physical contact with you, it's over. Your joints will stiffen, your blood will begin to run cold, and your fate will be sealed. All with a single, immobilizing touch. And the Mahaha? Its smile cracks a little wider, elated with its new toy. And here's where it gets a little weird. The Mahaha takes an unusual approach to torturing its victims. It'll take its stretched, claw-tipped, bony fingers, and it won't rip, it won't shred, or tear. As I'm sure you may have guessed, it prefers to tickle. You heard me right. The Mahaha takes great pleasure in tickling its victims to death, and folks I've spoken to who've crossed paths with the icy demon say the experience is chilling. Glad to see they didn't lose their sense of humour. The laughter they heard grew into a duet of agony and delight, till it merged into one, and no matter how far they fled, they said that laughter never seemed to dull. Told me after about a day of recovery, they'd venture back out to find their fallen friend, only to see them collapsed in the snow with a stiff, cracked smile preserved in their face. So should you find yourself in the Arctic, fishing, vacationing, whatever, and you hear a demented giggle, what can you do to survive? Well, I didn't uncover much, adventurer. Much like the Hinqumemen from earlier, there isn't a lot. But I found one key tip that might just save your hide from this snowy tickle monster. Every person I spoke to, and every tale and legend I read, said the same thing. The Mahaha loves water. They're addicted to the stuff. So make sure you pack plenty, as much as you can carry. And when travelling, always ensure there's a stream, river, really any body of moving water nearby. If you encounter a Mahaha, you can break its pursuit by suggesting it take a drink. Every time, they'll take you up on the offer, and that's when you can kick them into the water. This won't kill them, but it will put some distance between yous. Although the second it hits land, it'll continue its pursuit, so make the most of this advantage, adventurer. And that's pretty much it. Apart from the obvious, travel in groups, make sure you're faster than at least one member in your group, and obviously, if you hear a childish giggle in a snowstorm, turn the other way and run. Now I reckon it's my round, adventurer. Fancy a drama ushku beha? Go on. You keep me seat warm. Welcome back to the break, my audio adventurer. Thanks for listening this far. If you're new, you may not know this, but this place is where I get all my bigging out of the way. So, are you ready? If you're enjoying the show, and you fancy helping out a simple flannel tavernkeeper, then subscribing is the best course of action. It fills me with warmth and helps the tavern grow. We've got plenty of room. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere broadcast badgers make their dens. Just search for Creature Tavern. And while you're there, if you could write a little review about the show, it might not give you ancient blessings, but it'll certainly warm your heart. And with that, we're at the end of this break. There's no more interruptions today, so sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy our next creature. Thanks again for listening. Warm, isn't it? And needed after that frigid beast. Now could I also tempt you with our third creature of the week? This one's a little different to the previous. Going by the title Deer Herder, Deer Guardian, Guardian and Eater of Wild Animals, but mostly this creature is known as the Lampong, from Philippine folklore. Depicted as a dwarf, or sometimes a gnome, you'll know you're dealing with a Lampong by its brilliant yellow eyes that are permanently crossed. The Lampong will also usually be wearing a two-peaked cap, and draped down its chin, you'll see a long, white beard. What's curious about this creature is its ability to shapeshift. I've heard from many vocal patrons that under the right circumstance, the Lampong is said to transform into a deer. And in its deer form, the Lampong is described as being an immaculate snow-white deer, with great golden antlers and a single bright eye on its forehead. This dazzling creature is believed to inhabit the dense forests and mountain regions of northeastern Luzon in the Philippines, particularly within the province of Nueva Vizcaya. The dense, remote landscapes provide the ideal sanctuary for the Lampong and the wildlife it protects. Encounters with the Lampong are rare and often occur deep within the forest, where the hunters venture in search of great game. So what I've found out is, if you want to find the Lampong, simply follow the deer. According to accounts from few folk I've had pass through here, the Lampong's behaviour and abilities are quite diverse. In its dwarf form, the Lampong isn't much of a threat at all. It's said to have the ability to guard deer, and if it spots hunters taking aim at the deer, it'll transform into its radiant deer form and immediately place itself in between the hunters and the deer. Usually this allows the regular deer to escape, as a one-eyed deer with golden antlers is a far more alluring prize. I suppose I should also mention that some accounts say the transformation produces a loud flash and beastly bellow, so I guess we'll add Flashbang to the list of this creature's abilities. Now that the Lampong's the centre of attention for all these hunters, I bet you reckon it's probably in a spot of trouble. Well, not exactly. You see, the Lampong possesses the ability to recover from harm. Even if struck by a hunter's bullet, arrow, or injured by some other weapon, it's said to regenerate incredibly rapidly. In some accounts, this regenerative power is so profound, the Lampong is said to have returned from a mortal wound, although that could have been a trick designed to lure the hunters into a sense of safety. What I found rather unusual about this creature is just how specific it is with these hunters. You see, in every scroll I found, and every guide I spoke to, they all say the Lampong will allow a hunter 5 shots. Not sure why. Its ability to recover means these shots are worthless. Maybe it's a nice gesture? These hunters can return saying they've aimed down their sights and shot the legendary white deer. But if a hunter gets greedy and fires just one more arrow, that's when things get nasty. Once the 6th shot lands, the hunters will start to feel itchy, irritated and ill. As disease begins to spread, they'll notice patches of skin begin to fester and ooze pus, a mark of retribution for disturbing the sanctuary of the woods. It's not known how this disease is spread. From what I can gather, it doesn't appear to be through any direct attack by the Lampong. Perhaps it's an otherworldly mist, innocently rolling from the dense forests, mirroring a common fog till you find yourself coughing up blood. Whatever it is, it's not worth firing that 6th arrow. Well, adventurer, I finally got some good news. Unlike those previous creatures we've spun tales of, the Lampong is pretty easy when it comes to encounters. If you're out in the woods, deer hunting, bird watching, anything really, and you come across a yellow cross-eyed dwarf with his deer friends, simply give him a wave and be on your way. No need to tempt that Cyclops deer guardian. But if you must shoot this magical one-eyed deer warden, then keep it to 5 shots. You know now that Lampong heals incredibly fast. If it's taken 5 shots, one more ain't gonna grant you any more of an opportunity to triumph in this hunt. And that's all. Basically, don't hunt deer, at least in the presence of a Lampong, or you'll end up with an empty eye. That's magically transmitted infection, my budding adventurer. And with that, we're finished with our last creature for the week. We've learned why drinking water may not be the healthiest option, that tickle torture is a very real threat, and if you encounter a deer with a dwarfish tour guide, do not open fire. Now that bell means it's last call here at Creature Tavern, so grab yourself one more drink for the road, and until next time, tread carefully, adventurer. You never know when you might wander into the weird